This is the Sony A6700 and I've been using this camera for a year now. So let's talk about it. I've run my entire YouTube channel over this camera for the last year and I'm telling you, I'm super happy. This is one of the best purchases that I've ever made. And I do believe that the Sony A6700 is the best beginner's camera you can buy. There's no better value than this camera. It's, in my opinion, the best camera for almost everyone. Because it's the perfect B cam for professionals, it's the perfect A cam for beginners, and it's the perfect camera to learn how to use cameras, especially mirrorless cameras. And yes, this is an APS-C camera, so it's not a full frame camera, but don't be worried, because it still takes amazing shots and incredible video. And of course, the advantages of having an APS-C camera is that you can buy cheaper lenses that are also really good. Again, I have both lenses from Sony. I have the 50mm G lens f1.4. This is the perfect ultra-wide lens. This is equivalent to 24mm. It's not as ultra-wide as in full frame, but it's the perfect, I would say, A-roll lens. This is really cool. I think it's expensive. Costs me around $600. But for the quality that you get on this lens and the size, again, look at this. Really small. You get very high quality video, very high quality photos if that's what you want to do, but this is the lens for video. This takes incredible video with incredible bokeh, and of course it's really good in low light.
Yo, here from Zanzibar. Yep, this camera I think works pretty well. So, back to Miguel.
This is the 50mm G lens f1.4, no internal stabilization, but it does have several buttons. It has the autofocus and manual focus button. The focus ring is really good. It's tactile. You have both modes. You have the smooth mode and the lock mode. So it's actually crunchy when you are moving the ring. Makes all of this sound. Yeah, it's actually really well built, light but also well made. It has the focus ring, which is also smooth, but it has this cool feeling of resistance, very light, but is also incredible. Comes with this lens cap, which is plastic, but it's high-grade plastic, so it's durable. You just screw it in, you have the red points for you to align the lens. That's it. Really easy to use. Very high-quality lens. $600, really good, and I'm very happy for it, that I bought it, of course. And then, of course, I have the incredible and the most versatile lens that I've ever seen for the Sony APS-C system. This is the Sony A10-105. This is an f4 lens. Let me tell you guys, this is the perfect zoom lens you can buy for the Sony system. It's also a G lens. It has optical stabilization. It's f4, so in low light is not the best, but in medium to very good lighting conditions, this is incredible. This takes incredible video. The footage is super reliable, has no chromatic distortion. It's really good. 18-105 covers most of your focal lens needs. Again, this is not that 250mm telephoto, but it's a telephoto nonetheless. You can take portrait shots with it. You can take video, ultra-wide video with it with the 18mm equivalent focal length. This is more equivalent to a 28mm, 27, so it's a little bit closer than the 24mm that you can get on this prime lens. But being a zoom lens, being able to cover the normal to wide range spectrum to even more than the telephoto with 150mm full frame equivalent, this lens is super versatile. I do believe that if you can only buy one lens for the Sony A6700 body, you should buy this lens. And I bought it for $350 on Amazon. So this is truly a great value. Grab yourself a Sony A6700, and the first lens you should grab for everything, everyday use, photography, video, is the Sony A10-105. If I could only choose one lens, this will be the one. But other than that, both of these lenses, they make a great combo, and I think it's the perfect combo for the Sony A6700. A very good prime lens for the highest quality video possible, and a very good and versatile zoom lens to cover all of your needs. So 50mm, 18-105mm, this covers most of your focal lens. You don't need to buy anything more for the Sony A6700. And for the last year, I bought this on day one, and for the last year I've been using them. Really great. And yeah, this is the Sony A6700 body, and this is the most important part of this review, because this is the camera itself. Of course, again, like I told you, this lens lives on the camera. Most of the time I use the 18-105, but the thing is, the body itself is what makes this camera so awesome. This is an hybrid camera, so it's a camera made for photos and videos. And I do believe that's what makes this camera so good. Because it's not that expensive, costs around $1,400 for the body, but gives you so much customizable buttons, so much features that favors photography and video. For last year, I used this mainly for video, but on my travels, I like to take photos. So I also use this camera for photos. My experience is lengthy on this camera. And let's talk about video first. This camera has a 26 megapixel sensor. So this is a micro four thirds sensor. It's an APS-C sensor, 26 megapixels, and shoots 6K but downscales it to 4K. So you can get 4K 120 frames per second when shooting video. That's actually incredible. $1,400 camera can do that. I think this crop is 1.5 when taking 120 frames per second video, but it's really, really good. So you gotta actually put in mind that you have a 1.5 crop from the APS-C sensor, and then another 1.5 crop for the 120 frames, but still, if you don't actually plan to do lots of shooting, like several minutes of shooting, then it's okay to have this 4K 120 frames per second. It's useful for some shots, slow motion shots. Other than that, I do believe that 4K 60, if you are doing lots of slow-mo, will be a great choice. So yes, in terms of video settings, can go up to 4K 120 frames per second, which is top of the line. And if you are shooting 4K 30 frames per second, 4K 60 frames per second, you can use APS-C SI. So you can use the top of the line codec from Sony. The one thing that is the issue about video on this camera, and I will say right away, is that it does not accept Type A cards, so you only have to use SD card slots. You only have the slot for one SD card slot, and here's the thing. This annoys me because SD cards suck. I have a 64GB V90 SanDisk card, Extreme SanDisk card, and I just bought this Sabrent, the same setting, 64GB FV90. Both of these cards have bent on me, both. This one is like 2 days old, this one is 1 year old. But still, this is completely destroyed. This has completely destroyed from the heat of the camera, the computer, whenever it's being used, and the plastic has melted a bit. It still works, but in terms of durability, these cards are very, very expensive, like $150, $100. This is a bit cheaper, cost me around $40, but still, it's the same card. These are expensive, and they don't last that long. 1 year for this card, and it's destroyed. This card is 2 days old, and is already bent. So, this was my fault, but still, like 1 year being destroyed does not make any sense. So at the end of the day, SD cards are not as durable, but still very, very expensive. So yes, if reliability is the most #1 feature for you, then yeah, I guess the Sony A6700 is not for you because it does not support dual SD cards, neither Type A cards or SF Express cards. So if that's something big for you, you need to go for the FX30. But don't get me wrong, this camera is still really, really good for video. The 4K 30 frames per second video out of this camera is incredible. Currently shooting this video with my iPhone 15 Pro Max and the DJI Pocket 3. But most of my videos are shot with the Sony A6700. I would say 99% of them right now. The only videos that I don't shoot with this camera currently are my vlogs. Because I don't like having this big package filming around on the street. It's an expensive camera and I like to have it on my studio. So I take my DJI Pocket 3 whenever I'm shooting vlogs, or even my iPhone if I don't have anything with me. But the thing is, when shooting video with the Sony A6700, you need to take in mind that this is an hybrid camera. So you don't have any type of active cooling. So if you are taking lots and lots of 4K 60 video outside, it will overheat. There's no way around it. It will overheat. If you are shooting inside, plugging into the wall, charging the battery, it will also overheat easier. So this is not the champion in terms of cooling, but it's still not bad. I think I never seen an overheating warning while shooting 4K 30 frames per second inside without being charging. Other than that, if you are charging this camera, be careful. And if you are also live streaming using this camera, so using the Wi-Fi actual setting that you can use to stream video from the camera to a monitor via wirelessly, then it could also overheat easier. So in terms of video, you have several modes. You have manual mode, you have automatic mode, 1, 2, and 3 customizable modes. I've never used these modes. I always put it on manual mode and use it. If you don't like manual mode, put it on auto, use it. You also have the video and SNQ mode. SNQ is for slow motion and for rapid shooting. If I'm not wrong, I think SNQ is used for, let me just check. Yeah, SNQ is like SNQ motion, so you can shoot very, very slow motion video, and time lapses, so very, very fast video. So you can take several shots and create this timeline of shots creating the time lapse. You know what the time lapse is, no need to explain. But yeah, SNQ, video mode, all of them are very useful. 4K 60, 4K 30, 4K 120 frames per second, all of them very high performance. One thing you need to be worried about is the overheating on this camera. It's the only thing that I would say in video. There are some cameras better. But overall, this is an hybrid camera. So what can you expect? It's great for video, but it's also great for photography. As for photos, the Sony A6700 is also a great camera. Again, this is an hybrid camera. This is the lineup of Sony cameras that are made for video and photography. And in terms of photography, this camera is really easy to use, has tons of features, and of course, it's a great option. Again, I always use my 18 to 105 to shoot photos because, yeah, the other lens is not the best. And this one gives you the most focal lenses possible, and of course, a great zoom range. So you get your plastic lens hood and lens cover that you can also get with this, and yeah, you lock it in, easy to use. You are ready to take photos. Again, simply turn on the camera, and yeah, I chose this specific place because it's beautiful taking photos. I think it's one of the best places here in close to my actual city to take photos of wildlife. And so, yes, let's see if I can get some types of birds or wildlife here, natural reserve, natural park, and showcase you the amazing autofocus that you can get out of these photos, because again, the bird mode, the AI chip present on the Sony A6700 does a great job capturing birds, planes, trains, and for photos it's the same thing. So yes, let me try to find some birds to take some photos, and then of course prove it to you guys that in terms of photography, this camera is amazing. Yes, this is not just a video camera, but it's also a photo camera. And I've traveled around the world with this incredible camera, taking photos everywhere. Africa, United States, I went to Vegas, I went to Zanzibar, and I've taken incredible pictures. And yeah, even in Europe, Italy, Milan, I've also made a full photo review of this camera. If you want to check it out, go check out my Milan vlog, where I showcase the photo capabilities of this camera. But let's try to find some birds. So let's see, there's some birds there. Turn on the camera. Oh, when shooting birds, don't ever forget, I think the better option would be to crank up your shutter speed, so you get the best chances of actually getting the bird moving without getting all of those shaky motion blur images. So you bump up the ISO a bit. This is an f4 lens, so yeah, in terms of daylight shooting, it's okay, but at night it won't be the best. Again, yeah, now it's too exposed. Just need to adjust the ISO. Oh yeah, change the autofocus to bird. So cars, planes, human, bird. Animals and birds. There they are. One there. Cool. Currently is low tide, so there are some people getting some fish, and the birds are eating them. The fish. And yeah, nice. This is a very beautiful place, but one thing that this lens cannot do is zoom that far whenever you are shooting birds. So maybe 200, 300 would be the best, but 100 millimeters on APS-C is equivalent to 150 on full frame. So that's one of the advantages of having an APS-C camera, is that you can actually zoom further with a cheaper lens. So yes, that's the reason why most people actually use APS-C cameras when shooting wildlife. If you want to use a full frame, you will get better photos, but you will need to buy more expensive lenses when doing so. There are some birds flying there. Let me see if I can get this one pretty far away. I wish I had like a 300 millimeter lens right now, but not easy. Come here, come closer. They're still pretty far away. It's not easy to catch them. See if I can get it. If you want to see the man actually working, that's one. That's the other. As for the birds, we have these ones really close. No flying birds today. Quite unlucky. Quite unlucky. But oh well, I will throw out some pictures here of birds flying that I've ever took. No, there are two there. Let me see if I can get. I think I got it. A bit far away. It's not easy to see, but yeah. I will put on the screen right now some pictures of birds, so you can believe me actually. I was trying to get some birds here. Not easy. They are very far away. and I wish I had a bigger lens. But that goes with my point that, oh man, now that I closed up my camera, they are going. But that goes on my point. I was saying that this camera is great because you can buy cheap telephoto lenses, like a full frame telephoto lens is like $2,000. You can get $1,000 great telephoto lenses for this APS-C system, and you can get medium to good telephoto lenses for $300, as cheap as that. So great advantage for the Sony A6700. Another thing that is also cool with this Sony is that you can actually take 12 frames per second with this camera. So if you are shooting wildlife, if you are shooting sports, this is also a good option. It has a mechanical shutter, so it doesn't have any type of issues that the electronic shutter from the FX30 and other cameras do have. So yeah, at the end of the day, this is a very complete and jam-packed features for photography camera. So yes, not just a great video camera, but a great photo camera overall. What I was trying to show you was the speed of this camera, the 12 frames per second speed of shooting photos. Just listen to this. Currently, photo mode, high plus, so in terms of continuous shooting, and yeah, just Jesus, this is fast, really, really fast. Then of course you can delete the group, it will group them, which is great. And yeah, great feature that most electronic shutter cameras don't have, and when they do have it, it has some problems with moving subjects. So in terms of photography features, it's jam-packed. In terms of the physical body, this camera is made of a magnesium alloy, super well made. The grip is better than the older generation A6000 series cameras. Great grip. And then, yeah, you have all of the ports, all of the doors, the slide mechanisms, all of them are really high made, like all the quality, the springs, it's all very high quality. Never had any issues in terms of durability with these doors, although some of them are less easy to open than the others. No issues with the ports, with the headphone jack port, the USB-C port, which this one features, great for live streaming, great for, I don't know, charging if you don't want to use external batteries. It's great. All of this is made of high-grade materials, high-grade magnesium alloys. And yeah, it has an SD card slot, has a USB-C port, the headphone jack. And of course, at the bottom, you also have another headphone jack for audio, and you also have a micro HDMI. Micro HDMI is probably the biggest downside for people that like to use HDMI. Micro HDMI is not reliable, can break really easily and break your camera. So I don't advise you using micro HDMI. Use USB-C when possible. And yes, this also has an incredible display. This is one of the best features of this camera. Again, this is a great vlogging camera because you have this rotating display. This is a 3-inch fully articulated LCD display. You can rotate it, you can turn it around, you can show the camera like this. So here's the display moving around. You can do it like this, rotate it again, put it back and protect it here so the plastic is facing out, or you can rotate it and put the screen facing out like this. There are so many ways. This is one of the best rotating screens out there. I think that, okay, the Sony R5 has the one that can tilt, but this one is also great. And yeah, I never had any issues. I think it has 1,036 dots. It's not the best. I think it's 720p, but again, it's just a display for you to check how good it is. If you want a better display, buy an external monitor. Use your iPhone with Monitor Plus app. I don't care. You can buy another monitor, but for a small display that is also touchscreen, you can use the touchscreen with a very cool menu inside. Easy to use, very intuitive, and being touchscreen, this is more that you can actually ask. Again, $1,400 and you get all of this. Incredible value in my opinion. You also have several buttons on the body, the autofocus button, the function button. You also have the scroll wheel, which is cool. You have 2 buttons. That is also, I think, the customizable button together with the trash. You have another customizable button, the C2 button. Cool if you want to program more functions there. And you also have the C1. I think that the C1 is, yes, here on the side. The C1 is the button that you can also customize. So you have the positions here is like C1, C2, and C3. Comfortable, easy to use. You also have this scroll wheel right here. So if you want to change focus, change rack focus, whatever, with this one right here, is also easy for photos. Change the shutter speed here. I think it's the one that I have. Shutter speed. You also have this scroll wheel for the shutter speed when shooting video, ISO, display modes, whatever. All easy to use. And of course, the menu button. Click the menu button and you will open up the menu. The menu is easy to use, very simple. One of the best and most current Sony systems and infotainment systems that you can use. It's reliable, it's easy to use, but especially intuitive. So yes, all of the aspects of this camera are very, very beginner friendly. At the end of the day, that's what really matters with an APS-C camera. Easy body, small body to carry around, very, very easy to understand how to use, very easy to learn how to use, and specifically cheap. It's not very expensive. $1,400 for the camera, $600 for a prime lens if you want, a very, very, very high-end prime lens, and $300 for a zoom lens. That most people should only buy this one. So less than $2,000 for a full hybrid camera that is also very, very powerful. This camera features Z batteries, so you can check here, you can take them out. Z batteries are the same batteries found on the Sony best cameras, so the Sony A7 IV, the Sony Alpha 3, wherever. These are the best Z batteries out there. These are incredible, they last a long time. They are expensive, they cost $100, but they are really, really good. And they last, they are very reliable, and they are an addition, a new addition to this new lineup of cameras. This is an old lineup, an old APS-C lineup from Sony, the A6000 lineup, but this is the first time that we see Z batteries coming for this lineup of cameras. They are good, they are expensive, but they are very, very reliable, and they last for a long time on shoots. So yes, I never need another battery whenever I'm shooting. Maybe when I'm shooting cars for a long day, the whole day, this dies. But if I'm reminded to charge it in the beginning of the day, and I have some type of battery bank with me, charges fast, so I can plug it in 30 minutes and have a full battery again. And yeah, no issues there. I think that if you want to solve that issue, buy another battery and you have battery for 2 days of shooting, or even one very, very, very busy day. So yes, battery life, it's great on the Sony. And of course, with the Z batteries, no issues there. If you are willing to spend a little bit more money, you can get several of them and you'll be very, very happy. Other than that, yes, this is a very, very high-end camera with lots and lots of professional components on a cheaper APS-C camera. And so that's one of the reasons that I do believe this is the perfect beginner's camera. It has great choices of lenses that are not expensive. You don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to get incredible lens. So in terms of value, they are better than the counterpart full-frame lenses. And the performance, the features that you get, 4K 120 frames per second. No, this is not a full-frame camera. But being an APS-C, for most beginners, is way more than enough. This takes incredible video, incredible photos. And for most beginners, outside, inside, studio lighting, they don't actually need more than this, and they won't notice the difference between a full-frame and APS-C camera. Maybe some professionals, or at least most professionals, will. But those will buy this camera for a big cam. Those will buy this camera for traveling, for enjoying themselves, not for their professional work. This sits in a very, very comfortable position on the Sony lineup. This is, I would say, the crop sensor version of the Sony A7 IV. The Sony A7 IV is, in my opinion, the best overall camera you can buy in the Sony lineup. This is the best value, the Sony A7 IV is the best camera. Incredible sensor, incredible body, it's big, it's comfortable, easy to use, takes incredible photos, and it takes incredible video. So, let me know in the comments down below, would you buy the Sony A6700? Have you ever used one? I think this is a great camera, and if you are looking for a beginner's camera, photos and video specifically, then there's no better hybrid camera than the Sony A6700. The perfect autofocus, the great video features, and obviously great photo taking capabilities make the Sony A6700 a great choice for most people. Drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, bye bye.